process of government is that they pass these bills that have all sorts of weird shit piled into them. Yeah. Good things and bad things all together. And you have to figure out, like, how much of the bad stuff do you allow because you want the good stuff? And they all have to make these weird, shady fucking deals.
Yeah. I mean, I got that text, the official text, you know, essentially as soon as it came out, and public land sales were page 202. So I just went straight to page 202 and read through the new language to see what, because it was another revision by Mike Lee to see if he could get that thing passed. It was just typical crap. Like, he's not listening to anybody. He's still pushing his agenda.
So when he revised it, what were the revisions, and why did he put those revisions in?
So he started at U.S. Forest Service land and BLM land.
Which would be how many acres, all told?
Well, it would have been a possible, like, 500 million acres area in 11 western states. And I want to say it would have been 2 to 3 million acres actually sold within 5 years. So you're identifying out of 500 million, then you're narrowing it down to 2 to 3 million acres of Forest Service and BLM land. And then, you know, he says it's for housing. It's for housing.
But a lot of that is nowhere near development.
A lot of it's nowhere near development, and the language of the text, even on the very last revision, where he's supposed to be listening to American peoples, and he did throw in the word hunters there. Hunters, I'm listening to you. It says, like, bullet point 1, must be near existing infrastructure. And then bullet point number 7, I think it was like, or very far away and hard to manage. Right?
Which is all the rest.
Yeah, so, like, somewhere in between here.
That's so crazy. That's such a crazy piece of language. Or far away and hard to manage. So all of it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's
so vague.
He wants to get it through. And then there's super fun language in there too, where it's like, okay, right, if your first refusal is going to be state, then local government, through tribes in there, and then the only other group would have been landowners within the checkerboard pattern, how we have, like, that, you know, grid system of federal land ownership and private land ownership. Those landowners could also purchase more than anybody else would have been allowed to purchase. So state, local, then your tribes and local landowners. So basically, like, a huge handout to, you know, like, you know, the corner crossing case that we've been talking about, right? Iron Bar Holdings. They would have just purchased all those checkerboard pieces and would have been legally allowed to do that.
Corner crossing to people. So what corner crossing is like, say if there's an enormous piece of public land, but the only way you can get to it is to cross over a very small corner of private land. For the longest time, that was prohibited, and you would get arrested. So
you could, yeah.
You get arrested for trespassing.
Yeah.
You know, and we're talking about, like, a couple of feet.
Oh, we're talking about something so small you can't even possibly see it, right? That's why it's like a theory, right? It's like, for all the physics majors out there, right? It's like that game of, like, well, how do you get someplace if you only go 50% of the way, right? You keep going 50% and 50% and 50%. It's like a theory, whereas in reality, like, all it is a footstep.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to cross that corner in a footstep, and we know where corners come together because it's right here. But that theory thing is like, well, and then the airspace all the way down to the center of the earth and to the heavens is how it's written.
The crazy thing is, like, you could legitimately do it in a hop. So you would never have stepped foot at all.
Dude, my 97-year-old grandma who's hooked up to an oxygen tank could have stepped across. Like, I mean, it's we're not talking about a feat
Yeah,
of
we're
any
not,
sort.
We're not talking about like a football field that you have to cross.
No.
No, we're talking about like a couple inches.
Yeah. So
which
just
is
like
so nuts.
Oh, it's infuriating is what it is. So just like on your checkerboard at home, pick any four corners that come together where the two reds, imagine those are public and the two blacks are private.
So here it is.
There you go.
We'll
Beautiful.
explain it right there.
Yeah.
So those little tiny spots in the corner, you were not supposed to cross.
Right.
Which is so crazy.
Yes.
That is so bananas that was a real issue.
Exactly.
And look at this. No trespassing.
Yeah. And so that's really interesting.
That's the corner right there.
Yeah.
Isn't that nuts? Like that little spot, no trespassing. That little tiny gate is all you need. Those two posts that are in the ground, those two signs to prevent people from accessing land that's theirs. So that is where the corner is.
Yep.
So if you go through that little thing, that little area right there, you're breaking the law, which is fucking insane.
And now, currently in the state of Wyoming, and I got to give a shout out to Wyoming backcountry hunters and anglers for having the spine and the backbone to help bring the people who were caught and prosecuted for corner crossing, and support them financially. We did a ton at Meat Eater too to help that legal case. It went to the state court, then the Supreme Court, and then the 9th District Court. And the last I heard is Iron Bar now wants to take it to, the Supreme Court of the United States, SCOTUS, which is ultimately really good. We always joke that we're going to send old Fred Eshelman, the owner of Iron Bar, like a public landowner t-shirt, because he's going to make this stuff public for everybody. Because it's going to be, right now there's only 2 federal cases that have defined corner crossing. They're both in favor of the people of the United States. So you can legally step across. Shocking, I know, from one piece of public to the next piece of public. And then if and when this thing makes it to the Supreme Court, the only reason he hasn't filed is because of this stuff with Mike Lee, right? It would have solved all of his problems. He would have just purchased those checkerboard pieces of BLM land within his ranch boundaries and just been done with it.
Yeah.
Right. And that's a really, there's a lot of those pieces in a lot of states, and states actually fund the ability to trespass for hunting on a lot of those landlocked pieces.
To create easements?
Yep, exactly. Yep. But it's typically done through like the state wildlife agencies, where you get an easement so people can go out there. As if you got a conservation license, you can go hunt out there.
This is an advertisement from BetterHelp. Stress in the workplace is becoming an issue around the world. Did you know that 60% of the global workforce has reported experiencing higher than normal levels of stress? So it's more important than ever that we learn to take some time for ourselves. Plan a nice long holiday this summer, go hiking, read a book, play video games. I found that even a few minutes of meditation can help. Another great option is therapy. Everyone can benefit from it, and it's arguably one of the better long-term solutions to stress. Therapy can teach you how to positively cope and manage anxiety while improving your self-confidence and self-awareness. It can be very empowering. And thanks to BetterHelp, therapy is becoming more and more convenient. All it takes is a few clicks to join a session. You can also join from anywhere, whether you're at the beach, on your vacation, or at home after a grueling day of work. Plus, as the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a diverse variety of expertise. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/JRE. That's betterhelp.com/JRE. Well, it's also today, I could imagine how a long time ago you would get a lot of confusion and it would lead to people trespassing accidentally on public land or on private land rather, because we're looking at maps. and people would be, 100 yards to the left, 100 yards to the right, and maybe not good navigators.
Yep.
But now when you have things like
Onyx.
Go Hunt, Onyx, Spartan Forge, all these apps that hunters use now that use GPS, you're 100% accurate.
Yep.
Like 100%
and a lot of the law
accurate.
enforcement agencies are using those same things, so they can be on the same page as the hunter or access seeker or whatever you want to say.
Super easy to follow.
Yeah.
And there's no worries at all about encroaching on private land.
Yeah, and also it's like, what's the harm, right? Like when you sue somebody, you have to establish what the impact is, what the harm is. And in these cases that went to the Supreme Courts, they're like, well, what are the damages?
Right.
Explain to me what the damages are.
Right.
Right? And they really can't. Right?
There's no damages. They just don't want hunters on their property. People that have a lot of land, for whatever reason, I guess it's how they acquire a lot of land in the first place, a lot of them are fucking greedy.
Well, there's some
They're greedy in a
strategic
weird
purchasers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's a greedy thing. Like you have 800 acres, and there's this like little sliver, and you're like, no,
can't have that.
Mine.
I know, man.
Mine.
And then there's absolutely wonderful humans on the spectrum.
Oh yeah.
This dude that I grew up with, we guided on parts of his place growing up. Right when I got my first ever GPS, and the Onyx was a card that you inserted into your GPS. He used to come pick me up so I could open the gates for him, and then he'd just BS, and it was amazing. And we'd drive all over eastern Montana, all on his property, and his name was Leo Solf, and we came up to this fence line, and I was like, Leo, did you know that this brand new fence is 100 feet on your side of the property line? And this was a whole section, right? So it ran for a mile. And he goes, Ryan, can't own the whole world. And just didn't say another thing about it. Like, not worth me worrying about.
Yeah. Well, how many acres did he have?
Like 30,000 probably.
That's a rational gentleman.
Yeah, exactly, right?
100 feet.
Exactly. But
somebody fucked up.
But there's people
whatever.
There's people on the other side too. And that's like that old rancher mentality of like, you know what? There's going to be a fire, and we're all going to need to get together and help each other out, and maybe I'll talk to him then about it. Or, whatever, calving season, harvest season, all the things that bring those communities together, these very independent people, they got to work together at different times of the year. And that's like kind of a beautiful thing. You can only be so much of a dick.
Right.
Right?
Right.
But then there's that other side now where it's like, I'm going to patrol my property from Florida via drone.
Oh, God.
And I'm going to hot dial the sheriff's department anytime I see anything that looks like stepping over that property line, right? Whether it's to fix a fence that I'm not there to fix or get your cattle off of my property, I'm calling the sheriff. Oh. And that exists too.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's that community breakdown, which is horrifying to me. But also, man, like, people don't understand the jobs that these lands do, right? And like you're saying, like the urban folks, where that steak comes from, where their groceries come from, it's not the grocery store. Like, there should be an instructional video before you can enter the supermarket, because it takes space. It takes this land. And people think in terms of like, oh, 1 million's a big number. Let's say we do have 640 million acres of public land, right? Well, there's like 1.2 billion acres of land in the U.S. set aside specifically for agriculture. And I think some like private timberland falls in that too, right? So that's private land. 1.2 billion, where the bulk of our food's coming off, ideally. On the public land side of the fence, we have grazing leases. So you can run cattle and sheep on public ground. You pay a minimal, I would say a very minimal fee for that, right? And it's based off of an animal on that ground for a month, animal unit month, AUM. And on our public ground, that's like $1, I want to say it's $1.35 per animal unit month. And just in the state of Montana, it just got dropped again, but it hit as high as $24 animal unit month. So if you have those federal leases, it's a big thing that you want to protect too, right? So you have to, in theory, show that stewardship aspect out there on the public land, because everybody can come check it out, to retain your ability to keep running cattle out there or sheep or whatever it is.
What is going on with that American
prairie
savanna? Yeah, the American prairie thing.
Yeah, so that's in the home state of Montana. I wish
explain that to people.
Yeah. So basically, the fear is it's going to be a privatized national park that people aren't going to be able to go out on. Well, I don't think that's true. It might be, but I don't think it is.
Explain what it is.
It is a bunch of private philanthropic dollars, a lot of which is coming from overseas. I think the Dutch have somehow, some way dumped a bunch of cash in there. And it is to connect a bunch of private land and Bureau of Land Management land out there, BLM, into one contiguous chunk, remove as many fences as you can, and allow that chunk of prairie to basically revert back to its natural state with natural species, the American buffalo being like their big goal species, right? They've done an incredible job raising cash to get this done. They're purchasing these places. They would say at fair market value. There's a big argument there because they have so much money. They're going to win a bidding process. So is it really fair? Is what the local ranchers would say. But right now, and knock on wood, for as long as they exist, they're going to keep providing public access, and they have a really good public access program. So they can work with the state of Montana for our private land public access program, where you can sign up either at just like a kiosk type deal, sign-in box, and walk out on their place. But then they have like yurts that you can rent, and
So the kiosk is it's just set up as you get there, and you just put in your name and what time you're going there, and do you have to have any kind of ID that you put in there? Nothing?
No. I mean, the state of Montana one asks for your license plate number, and your home address and phone number, and that's it. So, and then they have a lot of gorgeous ground. Honestly, when we did our big float in Montana, they own some of that property now that runs right up to the Missouri, right there around Cow Island is kind of where we took out real close to there. And they own some of the stuff that we hiked around on.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. But their vision is to have this big contiguous chunk and have it run like, pre-European civilization here on the North American continent.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's gorgeous stuff. And they provide for some buffalo hunts out there. So you can draw a tag and go out and shoot a yearling or an old bull. And they give you, it's not like a handhold thing.
When they say an old bull, how do you determine?
Just by sheer size.
Just size.
Yeah.
So you have to be experienced. You have to know what you're doing.
Yeah, and they'll give you some classes and some pointers, but they don't hold your hand and say, "Hey, come shoot this one." Right. It's like, here's this information. Mm-hmm. Return it when you're done. rules of the ranch, all that stuff. Go through this gate, enjoy it, leave it how you found it, type of thing. So, and I've never done it myself, but people have had really fantastic experiences out there doing that. And obviously that's an absolute shitload of meat, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And if they do that widespread, like what is the ultimate goal? Like how much land are we talking about? And like, are they bringing animals in, or are they allowing the existing animals to breed? And like, how are they doing it?
So yes, to allowing the existing animals to breed, and yes, to bringing the animals in. So they're coming out of I think the Yellowstone population more than anything. And then they work with the local tribes up there to kind of bring those animals in, and some go to the tribe and then some stay on the prairie, I think is how it goes. And then the reason that they're allowing for these old bulls to be shot is because they're no longer breeding.
Right.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Have you ever read Dan Flores's piece on American buffalo?
Yeah.
The buffalo diplomacy. What was it? Buffalo ecology, buffalo diplomacy.